Hey everyone, Tech Steve here, and on this video, I'm going to show you guys everything you need to know if you've been thinking about buying the Hisense U6H. This TV has a lot of features that you're definitely going to need, so let's take a look at the back of it. So one thing about this TV, it has this nice little smooth finish on the top. It has an indentation right here, and there's a power input over on this side. Now there's some screw holes so you can mount it on the wall, and over here we have all of the input, so let's go over that. So first of all, it does have a service port, so if a technician comes out, they can plug in their equipment right there on the top. If we take a look over here, it has an ATSC 2.0 tuner. I wish it had an ATSC 3.0 tuner. Down here you have 3 HDMIs, and HDMI 1 is eARC, so you can connect a Dolby Atmos soundbar to it. Down here we have a AV input, and that's for composite input for older VCRs. You also have a headphone output, a reset button, and 2 USB connections. And with the USB, you can plug in a camera, download Google Duo, click on it, and now you can use your television as a video conferencing to connect with your family. After all, the holidays are coming up. Addition to that, it does have an Ethernet connection plus built-in Wi-Fi, a fiber optic output to go over to your audio system, and a 4th HDMI connection. When I set this TV up, it was very easy, just 2 screws holding each foot on, and they did improve one thing when it comes to wire maintenance. Now they included this little clip right here that you can just run your wires down and hide everything. Overall, the bezels are pretty thin on this television that goes around the top, over to the side, and if you look at the bottom here, it has more of a gray plastic kind of look to it with the Hisense logo in the center. Now one thing I do want to point out is that this TV has Google TV, and down here at the bottom there's 2 microphones, a touch for the power, some sensors, but there's a microphone that stays on. Now the interesting thing, if you turn the microphone off, you'll see these little LEDs that you can't get rid of until you turn it back on. So if you get a TV like this and don't want to use Google Command, you definitely want to make sure that you put a piece of tape or something over it. Next, we're going to get into some picture tests because I know that's the most important thing that you want to take a look at. Now, this TV is 60 Hertz and it has a motion rate of 240 Hertz, and it also has Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, and it is available in 4 different sizes. This is the 50-inch, but it's also available in a 55, 65, and a 75-inch, and all the models are VA panels. So the first thing I want to show you guys is a dirty screen effect, and you can find this on my Tech Steve testing videos. But the biggest thing I can see is a little bit darker over here. There's a couple of lines right there, and over here in the corner there's a little bit of vignetting. But keep in mind, this is a budget television, so I personally don't expect it to outperform a more expensive television. Now with these white dot tests, I can see all the little dots right there coming through, which is great. Now when it comes to the backlight, this actually is a LED television, so you're going to see some backlights, but it has local dimming. And this is a star field test. You can see a lot of information coming in from these dots right here. So it's going to be very bright, and the motion on it is pretty good, but let's test that. So when it comes to motion, you can see the top layer. It's actually getting a little bit of zigzag right there, but let's go into the menu under the picture settings, go down here to the bottom where it shows advanced settings, and we can look at the motion. If we turn it off, you can see it gets really jittery right there. Then if we go back in, we can customize it. And this allows us to change the judder on it as well as the blur reduction. So you can see as I crank that up, that top line gets so much smoother. And that's because this TV has a motion rate of 240. Now, if you don't like that settings, if you're watching a movie or you want to put back in standard, or if you're watching baseball, football games, this is going to help clean everything up so you don't get that soap opera effect. So using my cell phone, I'm going to show you guys the viewing angles. This is straight on. And as we start moving around to the side, you can see it's starting to get a little bit washed out. And that's all the way to the side. So we go back to the front. That's what it looks like. So here's the difference between HDR content on the left and SDR content on the right. The biggest thing that you'll notice is SDR is not as bright as HDR. Plus, you don't get as many color capabilities. So if you buy a TV like this and you plan on watching Netflix or Amazon with 4K content, it's going to be bright enough so you can see all those scenes in it. And it looks better than a lot of TVs that I've actually showed on this channel, but it's not perfect. Now when it comes to gaming, I hooked up the Xbox Series X and the PS5, and what I found out is that the TV can handle 4K at 60 frames per second, 1440p at 60 frames per second, and even though it's a 60 hertz panel, you can run 1080p at 120 hertz, but keep in mind, it is not the native refresh rate, so it may look a little bit smoother, but don't expect amazing results. Now, I'm not a big gamer, but I'm gonna have Justin to show you guys the PS5 and what it looks like. Hey Justin, let me ask you a question. How well do you think this TV performs compared to some of the other TVs that you game on?
This TV is great. I have an older TV at home that I play on, and it has a little bit of lag to it. Compared to this TV, I play on this TV, the graphics are great, it runs smoothly. You said this was a budget TV, right?
It is considered a budget television. In fact, I picked this one up for 400 bucks, which is a steal if you ask me, for all the different features it has. But I gave you a chance to play with the remote control. What's one of the favorite features that you liked?
Yeah, I really like the gaming zone in this. You should tell them more about it.
So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the gaming zone. Now, Hisense has this little secret button. For example, if you press on this button, you get the full menu. But if you press that little button with the 3 lines on it, you then get these extra features, but you want to be on the input that you enjoy the most. So for example, I have the PS5 here, and there you have gaming zone. Now, one thing you need to do on a television like this is go down to the HDMI format and switch it from standard to enhanced. And this is going to allow the gaming console to move from 1080p over to 4K capabilities. Now, back into the gaming zone, it has a lot of different information. Like, for example, if you turn that on, you can see how many frames per second, if it's on HDR, if it's picking up VRR, and if automatic low latency is on. You also can go turn that off and then go back and you have gaming zone settings. Inside of here, you can adjust your black levels, your white levels. You can enhance your motion. That's where the automatic low latency is. And if you decide to hook it up to a PC, they have a specialized switch here, so it gives you the best performance out of that as well. Back to the remote control, you can see that it has these white buttons on it, and it's going to make it easier to see at night. But I will tell you, it doesn't have a backlight on it, so just keep that in mind. Another thing it has is the button right here. If you don't want to use the OK Google command, you can just press that and give it your voice commands. But there's a little trick. When you first get this TV, this will control the television just fine, but without the Bluetooth, you cannot do the voice commands. So all you need to do is hit the back and the home button for about 3 seconds, and then the remote control will pair to the television and you're good to go. You can also now add multiple profiles to the TV, so you can set it up any way you want. You have a volume channel button as well as a play pause button, and there's hotkeys at the bottom for Netflix, Prime Video, YouTube, Disney Plus, Tubi, and Peacock. Overall, I find the TV to be very responsive. You can see right now, there's no glitches, everything's working super fast, and this TV is actually getting better every year. Now, one thing you definitely need to do if you want to get the most brightness out of the screen is go into your picture settings. Then you want to go into the backlight, and right here where you see auto light sensor, make sure that's turned off because this adjusts the TV to the brightness of the room. So if you're trying to watch HDR content, just make sure that's turned off on all your applications and all your inputs that you plan on using. But if you want it to automatically adjust itself, you can easily just leave that on. Now, a lot of people ask me about the web browser, and I will tell you that this is not a full computer, so it's not going to be as fast. But I took a keyboard and a mouse and plugged in the dongle in the back of the TV. You can go down to this browser down here, and you can surf the internet. And just in case you wonder how fast it was, if I go back, I can go to speedtest.net. So you probably ask me, overall, what's the bad size of this television? Well, I will tell you that I did find a little bit of blooming on it when I was looking at some different halos. Also, I would tell you that the local dimming feature is nice, but when I was doing some tests, I really didn't see much of a difference when I was switching around. I mean, I think the technology is good, but I think mini LED is going to become the new standard, and these LED televisions are going to slowly get phased out over the next couple years. So I'm looking forward to see if I can get my hands on a U6H because that has mini LEDs and it has a lot of features just like this one, that I'm definitely anticipating that it's going to perform a lot better when it comes to the picture results. But overall, this TV is really good. In fact, if you can get one right now for $400, I think you're going to be overall pretty happy with it just because it has Adobe Vision, the Adobe Atmos. It also has that eARC output, so you can run it over to your 5.1, 7.1 Dolby Atmos sound system. I love the fact that you have the voice commands on the remote control and that is lit. Only thing I didn't like is the little LEDs down here. I wish there was an option to turn it off if you're the type of person who doesn't want to use the Google features. But I'm gonna let you guys know that I made, and if you're interested in learning more about this TV, I'll leave all the links in the description below. I'm Tech Steve. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.